Hi, and welcome to How Do I BI, a mini-part screencast series on using SQL Server Analysis Services 2008, based on my book, Smart Business Intelligence Solutions with Microsoft SQL Server 2008. I'm Lynn Langett, Developer Evangelist with Microsoft in Southern California, and in this edition we're going to take a look at how to use the mining model prediction section of BIDS to generate DMX queries. Before we do that, we'll understand the FAQs and gotchas around implementing this feature. The first FAQ is that you're generally going to have some type of input, although it's not strictly required. The reason for using this section is to associate a table of values or a singleton query, and I'll show you how to set that up using the designer when we do the screencast. You normally will also include some type of prediction, and then the prediction will use a prediction join function, which is a variant on the familiar SQL join function. There is a visual query generator or a strict query view. However, in the query view, although you can directly type, there is no IntelliSense. So you probably have to have some other type of reference for DMX if you're not completely fluent in it. You can execute the queries to test them out here as well. The gotchas around this topic are you want to select the appropriate input source, and those include the model, the input table, or the singleton query. You also then are going to select the appropriate function, and the DMX library has a number of, for example, prediction functions, and we'll be taking a look at implementing those, but not taking the time to discuss each of the different types of functionality. You're going to want a different reference for that. As I mentioned, there's no IntelliSense, and you can also use SSMS to author DMX, and we'll probably take a quick look at that in the screencast as well. So now let's go ahead and go to the screencast. In this screencast, we'll be examining how to use the Mining Model Prediction tab inside of BIDS to generate, view, and execute DMX queries against existing mining models that may or may not have also associated separate input as part of the query. In order to do that, I've loaded an AdventureWorks sample and opened up the mining structure called targeted mailing, which you may be familiar includes a number of mining models, and we'll be querying against the first one, which is the decision trees model. So to get started, we'll click on the Mining Model Prediction tab inside of BIDS, and we'll see that by default we have loaded the selected mining model, which is decision trees. If we click on the Select Model button on the mining model, we could then select any of the included mining structures in this project and drill down and then select the individual associated mining models. If we wanted to, we could just query out of this mining model, but it's more common when you're generating DMX queries in this framework to also have an associated input table, which is called a case table, or you can have a set of single values, which is called a singleton query. So I'm going to click on the Select Input Table embedded dialog box, Select Case Table button, and then the Select Table dialog box will open, and I'll scroll down. I'm going to select V Targeted Mail, which is a view that contains comparable data. And now you'll see that black lines have been drawn between the mining model and the Select Input Table boxes indicating which columns there are joins found, and this is based on the column names. Now if I wanted to adjust or control this, I'd click on any one of the black lines that are connecting, then right click it, and then notice that I could select Modify Connections, and I'll get a Modify Mapping dialog box where I could change any of the mappings if that was important to my query. Also in this particular area, I can right click and I can click on the singleton query, and that would change the input table to a singleton. So I'll go ahead and do that and show you what it looks like. And you can see the singleton query input just associates a column and then does not have a value. Now for the purposes of testing, you could actually select a value from the source data here, or you could type a value in. So we'll select a couple of values, an age range, bike buyer value, and a gender, for example, just to show you what that looks like in the resulting query. Now once you've done that, then in the bottom of the Mining Model Prediction Query Designer, there is a separate section where you can set up source field alias, whether you're going to show or hide it, group, an and/or, and a criterion argument. Now under source, you click in that text box and there will be a couple of options. You can select from the mining model itself to retrieve a field. So if you click on that, then the field that is available is the predicted field, which is bike buyer. If you have more than one predicted field, you'll have more than one show here. However, we don't want to do that for our query, so we're going to actually use a prediction function. And once we select that as the source, then in the field column, we get a drop-down list, and that shows us the MDX prediction functions. And we're going to select predict probability. We're going to alias that to will buy. And then we're under the criteria or argument, we're going to click in the mining model source and drag the bike buyer predicted column down. And this is going to predict whether or not someone will buy a bike. So if we wanted to look at how this query was rendered in DMX, we would click on the query design button in the upper left of the mining model prediction tab, and we would select the query view, and that would give us the query view of the the query we just generated visually. So select predict probability from the TM decision tree, bike buyer as will buy, from decision tree, and then we have generated what's called a natural prediction join to our source data, selecting 31 as the age, 1 as bike buyer, female as gender, and aliasing that as a virtual table, so as T. If we wanted to then see the results, we'd go back up to the query design button and click on result. And it's not a super great looking, but there's the result of 50% chance that a person would buy a bike with that background, with that input. And if we had errors, they would show up in the error list. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the screencast now, and then we're going to jump over to SSMS and talk a little bit about the DMX query writing experience there, because that's another tool that you have available. Also, I'll remind you that you can use SQL Server Profiler to capture queries that are generated from various client tools, and that can be a great way not only to troubleshoot from a performance standpoint, but also to understand DMX better. So I'm going to pause, and then we'll jump over to SSMS. So now we're inside of SQL Server Management Studio, and I've connected to Analysis Services. If I click on the DMX query button, then it's going to ask me to make a subsequent connection, which I will do. And then I'm going to click on the View button and the Template Explorer, and then within the Template Explorer, I'm going to click on Analysis Services to see that there are templates for DMX, MDX, and XMLA, and I'm going to open up the DMX templates and show that there are 4 different types. Some of these relate more to administration, model management, so on and so forth. However, I'm going to click on the prediction queries, and then I'm going to double click on the base prediction templated query to make it available, and that's going to open up my window there. And now within my query writing environment, I have a metadata browser that can help me to write queries more quickly by clicking and dragging. So it's kind of analogous to what we had seen in bids. But another capability that I have, and particularly why I wanted to show this, is a function browser. So if you click on the function browser, you can then see for each algorithm which functions are available. And I found this to be quite useful, so I wanted to make sure that you understood that it was there. So for example, we had been working with decision trees, so I'll open that up, and you can see that we have a large number of functions, such as isInNode. We were just working with predict probability, and you see that we have some information about the arguments that need to be passed and what the function does. And I've just found this to be a time saver when authoring DMX queries, so I wanted to share this with my audience so that you could use it as well. Thank you.